Hi, I'm Tony Hill,
And I'm Jonathan Scott.
and you're watching Sports Plus Chicago. The Chicago Bears roll into the ATL. In a situation where they're 2-3 and a must-win, they came out victorious. They not only dominated first downs, time of possession, but also yards. And we're talking about productivity from the Bears. They finally got it. Jay Cutler, no interceptions. That's what it's all about. A complete game by the Bears. My partner, colleague, and all those good things that go with it.
Yeah.
What's your thought about this? You know, we've talked about the Bears. In order for them to be successful, they've got to play a complete game. They've got to eliminate turnovers. They got to get some help from the defense, and they got to have Jay Cutler on his game. I think they finally got it this time.
Yeah, they did a great job of offensively firing on all pistons, getting Forte, getting Alshon, Cutler throwing for over 300-something yards, well, nearly 400 yards. It gave the offense more diversity. It just looked good. And then on top of that, the defense, they played well. They like I said last week, they bend but didn't break, and they created a lot of sacks and put a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Well, let's talk about the offense. You mentioned a key word, the diversification from the standpoint of being able to spread the ball. I mean, Jeffries had 5 catches for 136 yards. Marshall had 6 catches for 113 yards. Bennett has 4 catches for 32 yards, and Forte has 10 catches for 77 yards, which is very impressive. But I think what's even more impressive is the fact that finally Forte carried the ball. He averaged 4.9 yards per carry, and they had what I would call a very complete offensive philosophy.
Yeah, and the thing about that is when you put Forte, he's like a triple threat, kind of like a basketball player. He's able to catch the ball, run the ball, and block. And the thing about it is with this West Coast offense, they have to constantly keep in mind where they have to have him on the field, or they have to be mindful where he is on the field. That's one of the things that's making Chicago such a powerhouse in the offensive game.
Well, you say a powerhouse. We really truly haven't seen a powerhouse, but what we were talking about, being successful, they need to distribute the ball. They got to get the ball in Forte's hand, which they've done. 10 catches. I think he had 17 rushes for 80 yards, which is impressive and very good. And then they got their big players. I mean, Alshon Jeffries was huge. I mean, he had 6 catches or 5 catches for 136 yards. Big plays. Marshall had his 6 catches for 113 yards. What a receiver likes. When you got a big-time player like Marshall, you got to give him the ball. And then Bennett, who I think has emerged and perhaps is not necessarily that silent weapon that has made this team an outstanding team or potentially an outstanding team. But I think the use of a tight end finally in the Bears offense has been impressive. And now we haven't talked about the offensive line in quite some time. From Cutler's standpoint, yeah, he got stacked a few times. But overall, I thought they did a pretty good job of protecting him.
Yeah, you also have to look at they got 2 of their key offensive line guys back with Roberto Garza and Slauson. That really gives them a little bit more solidarity as an offensive line. And I think that really helped with them on the road, loud environment. It's just a good road win, NFC win. Good job.
Well, let's talk about the defense. Of course, the offense done well. I think when we had a chance to visit, one of our big things is if Cutler doesn't have any turnovers or leads to a catastrophe, they do exceptionally well, i.e. no turnovers, exceptionally well, the Bears win.
Yep.
But from a defensive standpoint, we're talking about a team who's really struggled in terms of being healthy, keeping guys on the field. Now, they go up against a big chore of trying to contain Julio Jones and Steven Jackson and Roddy White from an offensive standpoint. And when I mentioned it, I talked about it. Hey, number one, they had more first downs. I'm referring to the Bears. Number 2, time of possession, which I think is huge. 36 minutes to 23 minutes was outstanding, especially with that type of offense. And then shutting down Julio Jones and Roddy White and containing Steven Jackson to, I believe, 6 carries for 25 yards is an exceptional job, and not to mention the sacks, which you can talk about.
Yeah, and also you got to keep in mind is that Matt Ryan is one of the most. He got one of the strongest arms in the league, and if you get him out of his rhythm, you have to put focus somewhere else on the field. And Chicago just did a great job shutting it down. So good shout out to Mel Tucker doing a good job on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh, I like that shout out from Mel Tucker. But, here's the thing, though, and maybe you give me your opinion on this. Is it, gosh, I don't know how to put it, but whenever your team is focused on during the summer as that highlight team, the ESPN team, or what is it called, at home with the Atlanta Falcons, and they were the ones that were featured on these all during the summer, keeping an eye on them.
The Hard Knocks.
The Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
You know what? The only thing I see right now are hard falls for the Atlanta Falcons, and that's got to be the curse for all teams. Don't get on that if you want to have a successful year.
Not unless you just want to get a big check. That's about it.
A big check.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, here's a team that had a lot of optimism. I mean, there was a lot of hope for Atlanta. Of course, that's the way they aired them. That's the way they played them. And I had a chance to watch a couple of those shows, and they were pretty much really casual, not necessarily highly strung. I mean, they were just in the moment. And when you want to take yourself to the next level, Jonathan, you got to have that preparation. You got to have that eye of the tiger. And I didn't see that with Atlanta, not only during the summer, but in this game against the Bears.
Yeah, the thing about it is I can't speak for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know what the culture is there, but it just seems to me that there's no fire. Like you said, there's no desire to win. I don't know about you, but it feels good to hoist that trophy above your head. I mean, it's a one-of-a-kind feeling. So I think they really need to, get together, really figure out what is it that they want as a team, as an organization, and they just got to get out there and do it.
Well, that team's going south, but on the flip side, the Bears are going Midwest. I mean, they're 3-3. They're not south, they're not north, they're Midwest, and we got to like that. But more importantly, the defense stepped up, the defensive line. They got 4 sacks, which is huge, and that's something they've lacked all year long, just as a complete team providing sacks for their organization. And we're talking about a defense here that, has been known for their outstanding linebackers, and the linebackers play a huge role in the success of the Chicago Bears. And, we talked about Dick Butkus over there, and we talked about the tradition that is associated with them. What's your thoughts about the defensive line? Are they starting to come back together? I mean, again, Atlanta is a team that's struggling, but they do have potential. They do have assets on their offense, and the defensive line stepped up and got sacks, which I thought was very impressive.
Yeah, it's a good job for what they're doing as a whole. But the thing that I'm more concerned about is what are they going to do with these upcoming games? They have the Dolphins coming up.
Don't say that. The Dolphins are a team that played exceptionally well in their last game, just could not finish.
Exactly. So you have, and they played a great game against the Packers, but you have to look at how is the defensive line going to carry over from that road game and do the same thing for that home game against the Dolphins? They got Albert, left tackle for the Dolphins, is a good tackle, and they have a good line that's getting some solidarity. But the one thing that you have to keep in mind is, like, if you get Tannehill out of his realm, he can tend to throw the ball away. So that's one thing they got to do is put pressure on him, and maybe they can come out with a win.
Well, that's going to be a recipe for success. There's no question about it. But, you talk about the Dolphins, and generally it's really imperative to talk about that team that's right before you. But they've got a tough stretch. Their next 4 games are pretty tough, and that's the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Packers, and then, of course, the Vikings, which is just a rivalry with these guys. So it's always intense. They've got a lot going for them, but it's always good to go into that game with the victory. A victory over the Dolphins, I think, would put them in a really great position against the Patriots. What are they going to need to do to beat to beat the Dolphins?
Well, to beat the Dolphins, like I said, they have to take Tannehill out of the game. When they take him out of the game, they'll have to put everything on the defensive side of the ball. And also, they're going to have to move the ball quickly, fast tempo, get the defense tired, because as you know, they have some good sack leaders over there for the Dolphins with just a lot of speed and tenacity. So they control them, they can control the game.
Well, and I think you're absolutely correct. One of the things that we have to look at playing the Dolphins, the Packers kind of exposed them to a certain extent with the run and then the pass at the end, but they showed that they can run the ball. If Forte can carry the ball 17 times for 80 yards and Carey comes in, spells them for a little bit, but they all average over 4.9 to 5 yards a carry, they're going to be in great shape. again, you got the weapons on offense. I mean, we can't help but talk about that and exploit the fact that these guys are exceptional. I mean, Jeffries is really coming to his own. We talk about Marshall being that stud and as being a receiver. I recognize that, but Jeffries is coming to his own, and more so, he wants to be that main man. And so that gives him outstanding competition with the addition of Bennett, who is searching for an identity. And this has been a great opportunity. He was with the Cowboys. He went to the New York Giants, and he found a home with the Chicago Bears. And I like the direction. I like what the coaches put together in terms of accumulating and putting together a really good squad.
Yeah, it's just like I said before, they're doing just a great job of getting everybody involved in the offense. They keep it up, they're definitely going to be able to wreak havoc and put points on the board.
Well, there you have it. That's our views on the Chicago Bears and their upcoming games. If you want to watch us, you can catch my partner Jonathan and myself on Sports Plus next week. Sports Plus is brought to you by Bettenhausen Automotive.
Remember, it's better at Bettenhausen.
Better.
Hi, this is Paul Salfen for Sports Plus, and I'm here at Bettenhausen Fiat in Tinley Park taking a look at the brand new 2014 Fiat 500L. We've got a 1.4-liter turbo engine with a 6-speed Euro twin clutch transmission, and that'll get you 27 miles per gallon, 24 in the city, 33 on the highway. This Fiat comes equipped with 16-inch aluminum wheels, bifunction halogen projector headlamps, daytime running headlamps, heated power mirrors with spotter mirrors, deep tint sunscreen glass, and there's some really cool options for you, including a Bluetooth voice system with Sirius XM satellite radio, GPS navigation, park view rear backup camera. Now check out this interior. We've got the all-important media hub, which has a USB. We got steering wheel mounted audio controls, black cloth low back bucket seats. Here's what makes the L really cool. It's got 4 doors, which gives you easy access to a spacious back seat. And that is the 2014 Fiat 500L. And you know where you can get it, at Bettenhausen, because remember, it's always better at Bettenhausen.
Hey guys, we're back, and Paul's actually out of town right now, but
Well, guess what? You got me, so let's
I
just talk a
do.
little book of life anyway. How
let's
about
talk
that,
about
okay?
it. Let's take a look.
All right, well, we're very excited about this film, The Book of Life, and one of the things we're really excited about is it's made right here in Dallas, Texas. And so I know this, you got to be excited because you get to be home and work on this, but it's such a proud thing to work with real effects. And how did you guys find each other?
Well, I mean, I came to the studio, what was it, I believe 6 years ago. I came to present the movie to the studio, and they kind of embraced it. I fell in love with Dallas. I fell in love with this place. Paul, our art director, came from Colorado. Augusto was already working here at the time. He's originally from Argentina. And what's been great is there's people from everywhere. We've all come through this studio to make something, and it's really fueled by love of Texan food, I gotta say. It's been, and a lot of tequila too, but it's been a really beautiful experience. People have been so nice to us.
Well, speaking of presentations, I know your original pitch to Guillermo del Toro was pretty disastrous. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I pitched him the project, it was a mess. We pitched it outside of his house. It was 110 degrees. He was sweating, I was sweating. Just as I was about to talk, the lawnmower, it seemed like there were 30 of them in the house next door. Turned them on, and so I had to yell the pitch to him. It was a disaster. The pitch finished. We went into his house. We sat down. I just wanted to shake his hand and get out of there and be able to say that I got to meet him. But he said, "Jorge, that was a terrible pitch." I said, "I know." I said, "But I can see right through it that this is beautiful. This is a beautiful movie."
Yeah.
I have 2 daughters. Saturday mornings I used to watch your cartoon El Tigre, so I know your sense of humor, I know your version of Mexico, and so I want to get behind this. And he jumped on and kind of opened all these amazing doors.
Now, how is it that something on Dia de los Muertos has not been done before in animation?
Paul, what you
I have
You maybe
no
done some
idea.
research on this.
I have no idea. It's such a rich and beautiful aesthetic, and I think the studios have been trying to do something with it for a long time because of that. But I've been told that they couldn't find a good story, a solid story, and Jorge brings a solid story, and people love the visuals, they love the story, and it worked.
Yeah, and this is the first time we're going to see a Latina princess. How is that possible, even?
You want to take that one?
No, you take that one.
Well, as a lover of animation, I kept waiting for the Latina princess to appear, and it never happened. So with the Book of Life, that was one of the first things we decided. Let's give all the Latina girls a kick butt princess, and the opposite of a damsel in distress.
Yeah. Well, and Day of the Dead is very important to you as well. Can you explain why it's important not only to you and your wife, but just in general?
Well, Day of the Dead is an incredibly beautiful holiday. The core belief of it is, as long as we tell the stories of those who came before us, as long as we sing their songs, tell their jokes, cook their favorite dishes, they're here. They're here with us in our hearts. The moment we don't talk about them, they really are gone. And so, growing up, I've experienced something where my family told me about Day of the Dead, and I kind of got to keep my family together and my friends who had passed away together. And eventually when I got married on Day of the Dead because I wanted my best friend to be my best man, and he's no longer with us, so that's how he got to go to the wedding. And all our ancestors who are not with us got to join us in that special day. And after that, I said, I want to give this to the world. I want to give this beautiful tradition from Mexico to the world.
And you've got a great cast of great Latin voices that a lot of people recognize. But there's a couple of people that stand out here. There's Channing Tatum and Ice Cube. And you have funny stories on both of them, those discussions about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first time I pitched Channing the character of Joaquin, who's this very over-the-top macho guy, I told him, you have the smoothness of Argentina, the suaveness of Brazil, the machismo of Mexico. And I basically went through all Latin America. And I told him, you're going to be Captain Latin America. And he laughed and he got really serious and he took me aside and he said, Jorge, you know I'm not Mexican, right? And we both laughed and I said, Channing, it doesn't matter. Even though this movie takes place in Mexico, I really want it universal. And I'm casting you as Joaquin because you embody this idea of this Superman. And so he fell in love with it. Same thing with Ice Cube. When he showed up to the first presentation, he kind of looked around and went, are you sure I'm right for this? And I told him, no. Again, you play an ancient god in the film. I believe you to be a god of hip hop. So I wanted to cast you as this character. And he fell in love with it and he got really behind the movie. And it's the first time he's ever done an animated film. So I'm super proud of that.
Good. Well, and for you two, how did you show him Dallas? What was the first order of business?
Well, I'm not originally from Dallas, but I did fall in love with the movie working remotely with Jorge starting about 5 years ago, and I was excited about coming out to Dallas and we could all collaborate on this film out here, but it was new to me too. I was just kind of getting a lay of the land when we came out for production. So Gusto knows a little bit more about that.
I've been here for 14 years. Even if the accent will never go away, this is my place. I love this. My 2 kids were born here. So this is my home. And hopefully it's gonna keep being.
Yeah. Well, besides real effects, what's your favorite thing you've discovered here?
I have to say, my 2 favorite things in Dallas are by far the food, the barbecue here. Oh my God, I don't know where the beef comes from, but it's genius. And honestly, no diss to Los Angeles, but the people here are so much nicer and so much more welcoming. And I don't know if it's a southern thing or what, but we felt really welcomed, and it's been, we've fallen in love with the city.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us. And Book of Life comes out in October, and we'll be back with more on Sports Plus next. It's the most wonderful time of the year. No, it's not Christmas yet. It's Fantastic Fest. For 1 week in Austin, Texas, at the Alamo Drafthouse in South Lamar, you get to see the wildest, weirdest, and strangest movies that you've ever seen. And so Jen Reed and I went down there, and what did we see? Some of the craziest movies you've ever seen, right?
Craziest movies and pretty much the best time I've had in a long time.
Good. I like to hear that. Now, one of the movies we saw that both of us really enjoyed was John Wick. Crazy action movie starring Keanu Reeves. Let's take a look.
Hey, John. I thought I'd let myself in.
People keep asking if I'm back. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Well, congratulations on the film. This one is so much fun. It's pretty brutal. Do you know how many people you shot in the head?
I think John Wick, it's over 55,
Yeah.
maybe 60.
That must have been so much fun to shoot, though. You just every day just wrestling around and, you know. I mean, it's like it's growing up pretend work, right?
Yeah, I mean, working with Chad and Dave, who are the directors of the movies, they come from a stunt background. And so the expectation and the opportunity was really high. And they had an ambition to shoot long takes, not make it super choppy, and to see the performers actually doing what they're doing. So I got to get the training to do that. And yeah, it's fun to be playing the hero because you're kind of invincible, even though you get hurt. You know, in the fiction of it, like you say, I'm shooting a lot of people. I have a lot of power in that sense. But I also liked in this role the grief, the reason why he's doing what he's doing and trying to kind of reclaim his life and something that's been taken away from him.
Yeah, and how much training did you have to go through to do all that?
There were a few months. You know, we had the opportunity to have a little bit of time, not with choreography, but with skills. So I had a professional working with the gun work, the gun fu. I got to work with some jiu-jitsu and judo training, just try to learn, 3 or 4, throws and how to be thrown. And then I got to do some car fu. So I got to do some, training, sliding training. So I got to do, 90s, 45s, 180s, 360s. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a weird art imitating life thing, you just the other day had someone in your house.
I did. I had a home intruder, a home invader.
That's so crazy.
4 a.m, hear a noise, wake up, there's a shadow in your doorway. Wow. What do you do?
Did you just go into full John Wick mode? I guess not full John Wick mode. You would have.
No, I was like naked under the covers, and so I heard this sound, and then I was like, what's next?
Yeah.
Is it a weapon? Is it male? Is it female? What do they want? And then I heard this voice, Keanu, and I was like, okay, it's a woman, and she's probably not armed. Okay, go get changed. Get out of the bed.
It's just so bizarre. You seem like such a peaceful person and everything I've read about you, but then you have to go into full action mode sometimes on screen and off screen.
Yeah. I'm glad all's well that ends well, and hopefully the person's okay.
Well, now we always ask people their Hail Mary moment, the moment when they just had to go for it in their career and it worked out for them. What do you suppose that was for you?
I don't know. I guess I've done some things and not known that it was a Hail Mary. I think probably like the first Bill and Ted's picture.
Yeah.
I think maybe not a Hail Mary, but an opportunity, like in The Devil's Advocate. And I think maybe even the first Matrix. I felt like there was something special there, meeting the Wachowskis and seeing the concept art that they had and the script that they had written. Certainly was like, wow, okay. Go train for 4 months, do this project. It hadn't been done before like that. So I didn't, for me, certainly, and so that was certainly one.
That's good. Well, I know we got to wrap up, but you said Bill and Ted. Are we going to see another one?
I don't know. We're trying, but there's a lot to put together there.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here with us at Fantastic Fest.
Thank you. It's been great. Cheers.
Sports Plus is brought to you by Bettenhausen Automotive.
Remember, it's better at Bettenhausen.
Better.
Hi, this is Paul Salfen for Sports Plus, and I'm here with the beautiful 2015 Fiat Abarth. This is the performance edition of the Fiat 500. This thing is quick. With a 1.4-liter 14-16 valve multi-air turbo engine, this heavy-duty 6-speed automatic transmission will make sure you get there while still getting 27 miles per gallon. With 16-inch 6x5-inch aluminum wheels, bifunction halogen projector headlamps, and in back, you'll find the dual bright exhaust tips. Check out these great performance cloth high back bucket seats, black with red trim in the front and the back seats. The Abarth features the Blue and Me hands-free communication as well as the Fiat premium audio system. Check out the leather-wrapped shift knob as well as the steering wheel mounted audio controls. You want something cool? You want something fast? You can get it right here at Bettenhausen Fiat of Tinley Park.
Okay, inside the dealership, there's a car in here that I have to ask you about. I mean, it's right there. Not the one hanging over our heads, by the way.
Yeah, and in fact, that car was hanging over our head. When we did the remodeling of that good friend of ours, Ray Evernham, who owned Evernham Motorsports, and that was Jeff Gordon's crew chief for all those years in his first 4 championships, donated that car to us. That was originally a Bill Elliott car, and that Casey Kane drove it in 2004. And we hung it up here and that on display here, and then that car's got a very, that was one of the first historical Dodges on the racetrack, and that when they re-entered NASCAR in 2001.
Have you driven it around?
Yeah, that car just in parades.
Wow.
And that car was actually had in a bad accident at Darlington International Raceway, and had the front clip bent in about 6 inches, so they retired that car. It became a show car.
How fast does it go, or did it go?
That car went probably well over 200 miles an hour.
Wow.
And but it was more an intermediate car, and they didn't typically run it at the Daytona or Talladega, but mainly ran it at the intermediate tracks, the 1.5 mile tracks.
Well, and racing has been historically a big part of your family, right? Can you give us a little background on that?
Yes, and that my grandfather's brother, Tony Bettenhausen, was the patriarch of the racing part of the family, and that he began racing in the 30s and 40s, and that became extremely famous in the 1950s, and that doing what was now the IndyCar Series. He was national champion in 51 and 53, and his sons, Gary Merle and Tony Lee Jr., and that went on to have fairly famous careers, and that in total family participation in the Indianapolis 500 exceeded 52 races.
Yeah. Now, we were joking about this before, but you inherited that lead foot, didn't you?
Yes, yes. Actually, pretty much everyone in our family has that problem, and that some of us have it control. And that my father, who's in his 70s still today, and that is tough to outrun at the racetrack, and he's keeping it going, and that at the Autobahn Country Club here in Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah. So when the cops just see your name on the ID, they just go, "Oh, of course."
Cops don't see my name on it. I've been very fortunate many of the times, and that knock on wood, and that it's been probably about 15 years since I've got a ticket. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, you got to teach us your ways then, because even though we're not part of the family officially by blood, we still inherited the lead feet.
Yeah.
So
That Dallas traffic.
yeah, it's pretty rough.
That's all for Sports Plus this week.
And make sure to follow us at Sports Plus Show at Facebook and Twitter.
Remember, you can catch Jonathan and myself right here on Sports Plus.